Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With, an audio interview series presented by WFPK, Independent Louisville, Consequence of Sounds, and the Consequence Podcast Network. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest is Nicholas Petricca of the band Walk the Moon. They've got another huge record called What If Nothing, but it's a record that almost didn't happen. And we get to hear about why that was, especially dealing with personal loss and relationship turmoil, but also the fun things of success, like building a fort with Wyclef Jean. It's Kyle Meredith with Walk the Moon. Hey, it's really great to talk to you about this new record, What If Nothing. Let's start with the leadoff track, Press Restarts. I thought for only having a few records, on the surface it seems a bit early for a hard restart. Is that what you're talking about here?
Yeah, I think it felt resonant for us on several levels. The band, we took a big break right in the middle of our last record cycle. My dad got really sick, and we canceled that tour back in 2016. And so coming back together was intense because we had, the band, we weren't sure if we were going to, and so that was a restart for us. My personal love life was kind of upside down, and so that was a restart. And meanwhile, Donald Trump became president, and that felt like a kind of a flip upside down for a lot of people. And so we were just like, on all these different levels, like, wow, like looking at our life from a new angle, and naturally the music is going to reflect our hearts.
There's so much going on in this record, so many different sounds. But hearing a song like Headphones was really surprising because you guys are pulling off some really great Rage Against the Machine style riffs in that. And maybe it's what you're talking about here, because there is the line, I can take a beating like a good pair of headphones. And I thought that probably goes a lot deeper than the surface suggests.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that song specifically, I would say, is about jealousy. But the concept, I can take a beating like a good pair of headphones. It's definitely something I've learned in the last couple of years in making this record. It's just like that these life experiences, these dark times, are really what make us who we are, and what help define the good times. So taking those, persevering through the dark times and turning that quote unquote bad or negative energy into something beautiful and positive.
You made a post recently where you said, stop judging yourself. I guess I had that on mind while I was listening and got down to the song Surrender. And as you're saying, you went through personal loss in your life, which can do a lot to anyone. But I got that even beyond that, and songs like that, that you did go through a really big personal transformation.
Yeah, I think my experience with my father passing away, my life is full of blessings, and a lot of people are going through a lot harder time than I have. But experiencing that just kind of gave me a glimpse of the really, really deep stuff, the deep life experiences, and that transforms a person. If you let an experience like that transform you, it will for the better. And my music is my way of channeling that, of expressing that energy and that hope, really, to send out that vibration to other people.
And it can be an interesting contradiction, singing something so personal, sad even, but within the parameters of a pop song. I mean, it's one thing to put it into a song, but then you have to add a big sing-along hook.
Right. Well, pop music, I think, has gotten this connotation of like being the equivalent of small talk. It's like surface level, candy, like it's not supposed to have any depth or meaning. And I think that's bullshit. I think pop music just means music that can be accessed by anyone. And so if we can inject, the radio with pop music that's got some meaning and heart, then great. There's a lot of artists out there doing that, and we want to be a part of that.
In one sense, there are a lot of breadcrumbs back to that early music, your early music. But in another sense, you've come a long way since I Can Lift a Car. How do those songs sound to you now, if you even do go listen to them?
Yeah. Sometimes we do, and it's like, oh wow, this is us. This is what we sound like. And I like to think of each song as kind of being like a snapshot of you in that moment, of your past self. And it's like that was true to you at one point, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's you now. So it's part of what's fun about playing live, is that we get to create this show and combine, now that we have three records out, we get to combine new music and old music and reinvent the stuff from previous records, or pick and choose the stuff that still feels like really resonant to us.
It's fair to say that your live shows have become legendary. I mean, right from the beginning, you all had that style that was just so much fun. People around here are still talking about the Louisville shows. And now with much bigger tours. I mean, you're about to hit the road with 30 Seconds to Mars, right?
Yeah. In June, we start up with them. We'll be out with 30 Seconds to Mars for 2 months this summer in North America. Still haven't gotten to meet him yet, but I've heard fun stories.
Yeah. And speaking of big names, I heard there was also a point recently where you built some kind of fort with Wyclef Jean.
Well, Wyclef Jean has become a friend, and he's been putting out a lot of new music in the last year or so. And one day, we were collaborating at his studio at his house, but it was like a nice day outside, so we set up the studio outside, like on lawn chairs, basically, and wrote the song out there. And that song, there's a tune on the new Carnival record. I guess it's like the Juve EP that he put out before Carnival, and the song's called "Holding on the Edge." It's a duet actually with Wyclef.
Do you remember the moment when you realized your heroes were becoming your friends?
Oh man, I'm still pinching myself for sure. And there's still so many artists I would love to collaborate with. Do you know the artist Kimbra?
Yeah. I've actually got her new record sitting right beside me.
Oh, incredible! She's been one of my favorite young artists for a long time, and I would love to make a laboratory monster with her.
I would certainly love to hear that one. We'll put out some good vibes to make it so. But yeah, thanks for the call, buddy. And again, congrats on another big record with What If Nothing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for thinking of us, and hope to see you out on the road.
Definitely, man. Take care.
All right. Adios.
All right, bye. And thanks to Nicholas Petricca from Walk the Moon for giving me the call today. Walk the Moon's new album is called What If Nothing. Hey, don't forget, you can subscribe to Consequence of Sound's YouTube channel to keep up with your favorite artists and interviews. For you podcast lovers, please do head over to iTunes or Podchaser and give us a rating and a review. You can find me at WFPK.org. That's where I do a show every Monday through Thursday from noon to 3 Eastern. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.